Almost all states recorded new COVID-19 cases today. Police to question Dato' Mohammadin soon. Welcome to News at 10. I'm Brendan Lepol. Almost all states in Malaysia recorded new COVID-19 cases within the last 24 hours as at 12 noon today because of individuals who returned from Sabah. A new cluster has also been identified in Kedah. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said the index case for the Tembok cluster was a 46-year-old man who was one of the two deaths reported on the National Crisis Preparedness and Response Centre CPRC today. In a statement today, he said the victim, who is case 11,207 patient, had underlying health issues such as diabetes, heart and kidney problems. He started showing symptoms related to the virus on the 21st of September before he was rushed to the emergency department at the Sultanah Bahia Hospital in Alor on the 28th of September after suffering from breathing difficulties. COVID-19 screening on the victim showed he was positive and was pronounced dead at 6:15 a.m. The ministry had initiated close contact tracing. Malaysia confirmed 89 new COVID-19 infections today, a slight improvement from the 3 days of triple digits in infection increases. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said of the country's 89 new cases, 86 are local transmissions, while 3 are import cases. He also said that 25 of the country's new cases were linked to people with a recent history of travelling to the East Malaysian state. He said Malaysia also discharged 28 patients, which means the total of recoveries is 9,967, or at a rate of 88.8%. The total number of active cases in the country has now gone up to 1,121 cases. Cumulatively, the country's total of cases since the outbreak began in January is 11,224. Currently, 16 people are being treated at the intensive care units, with 3 of them requiring ventilator support. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham also announced 2 deaths, taking the COVID-19 death toll to 136. 2 deaths are detected in Sabah and Kedah. Sabah continues to record the highest number of new COVID-19 infections according to stage, with 35 cases, followed by Kedah 13, Selangor 10 and Johor 8. Senior Minister for Security Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the police yesterday arrested 98 individuals for violating the Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO). He said the authorities detained them after inspecting 54,764 locations nationwide. Elaborating further, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said of those arrested, 95 individuals were issued compounds, while 3 were remanded for further investigations. Among the offences were pub and nightclub activities, failure to observe physical distancing, failure to wear a mask, failure to pay quarantine charge, and businesses failing to record patron details. The minister also said security personnel from the ongoing Benteng arrested 34 undocumented migrants and 4 smugglers for attempting to enter the country unlawfully. From the 1st of May to the 29th of September, 7,427 people have been arrested as a result of this operation. The senior minister added that enforcers from the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPDN HEP, conducted 1,204 special inspections on businesses for compliance and warned 18 for failing to adhere to the Standard Operating Procedures (SOP). Parti Warisan Sabah, Warisan Chief Dato' Mohammadin Ketapi will be questioned by police over his remarks on security forces in the 2013 Lahad Datu incursion. Federal Criminal Investigation Department Director Dato' Hussein Muhammad said the politician has agreed to provide his full cooperation to investigators in Sabah.
Kita akan panggil dia dalam masa terdekat ni. Kita akan panggil dia, appointment dah ready. Kita akan appointment telah pun dibuat dan kita akan panggil dia di Sabah, bukan di Sabah, not here. Okay. dia pun bersetuju untuk tampil untuk peristiwa.
He said this to reporters in Bukit Aman today. On the 20th of September, Datuk Mohammadin drew criticism after he purportedly characterized the bloody battle between Malaysian Armed Forces and Sulu terrorists in Kampung Tanduo, Lahad Datu as theatrics. He made the remark during his recent Sabah election campaign trail. His controversial speech was captured in a 2-minute 30-second video which was widely shared on social media. Many police reports against the former Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister were lodged. An investigation paper under Section 505, Subsection B of the Penal Code and Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act were open. Datuk Mohammadin has since apologized for his remarks, but he claimed that his speech had been purposely cut short in the viral video to put him in a bad light. Johor police have arrested 7 suspected members of the notorious Gang 21 criminal group over an armed robbery at an apartment in Plentong 7 months ago. The 7 were nabbed in the Iskandar Putri area on the 10th of September on suspicion of the armed robbery outside the G residence Pangsapuri, Permai, Plentong on the 8th of March. Johor Police Chief Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Pichai said the suspects, aged between 23 and 44, were detained in separate locations during a special operation by the Johor Criminal Investigation Department's CID. He said the suspects were arrested for being involved in a robbery, attempted murder, and firing several shots at a car in front of the apartment at 8:30 p.m. on the 8th of March. The car was firing for occupants aged between 19 and 28 when the 3 men tried to rob and shoot them with a pistol. As a result of the arrests, 3 of the suspects have been charged.
Hasil pada tangkapan ini, pihak polis berjaya membuat pertuduhan ke atas 3 suspek mengikut undang berikut. Yang pertama, 2 suspek dituduh di bawah Seksyen 2A Akta Senjata Api Penalti Lebih Berat, dan seorang lagi suspek diambil tindakan di bawah Akta Pencegahan Jenayah ataupun POKA.
He added a 3rd suspect was charged under Section 307 of the Penal Code. Briefing reporters at the Johor Police Contingent Headquarters in Johor Bahru today, he said Gang 21 has been active since 2016 and believed to be involved in murders, using firearms and other serious criminal activity. Dato' Ayub Khan explained that the modus operandi used by the gang members in the incident was to hit the rear of the victim's car before getting out and firing 5 shots as a warning. He said police were still tracking down a 23-year-old man wanted in connection with the case. He said investigators are looking for Sarjit Singh Balwan Singh from Kampung Sungai, Plentong in Masai. A coconut milk seller was sentenced to death by the Georgetown High Court in Pulau Pinang today after he was found guilty of trafficking 208 grams of cannabis at a food court in Bukit Mertajam more than 2 years ago. Judicial Commissioner Muhammad Razi Abdul Hamid ordered R. Siva Raman, 48, to be hanged after ruling the defence failed to raise reasonable doubt in the case. Judicial Commissioner Muhammad Razi said the court did not believe the sworn evidence provided by the accused and another defence witness, the only 2 who testified at the defence stage. Sivaraman, clad in all white, was seen shaking his head when the sentence was read to him. Sivaraman, represented by counsel Hussaini Abdul Rashid, was charged with trafficking 208 grams of cannabis in front of the fresh food court at Jalan Rozan Alma in Bukit Mertajam about 8:15 p.m. on the 16th of January 2018. He was charged under Section 39B, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, punishable under Section 39B, Subsection 2 of the same Act. Muhammad Razi, in providing grounds for his judgment, said the accused had failed to raise doubt that he had actual possession of the drugs. He said the accused had claimed that he was arrested with 2 others, including the second defence witness, a fact that was later rebutted in court. A banana planter today escaped the death penalty after the Kuala Terengganu High Court amended his murder charge to culpable homicide, not amounting to murder. Judge Dato Abdul Wahab Muhammad sentenced Ismail Muhammad Don, 40, to 14 years in prison from the date of his arrest on the 3rd of December 2018, after he was found guilty of causing the death of a man who tried to steal bananas from his orchard. Dato Abdul Wahab meted out the punishment to Ismail under Section 304, subsection A of the Penal Code, which provides for a maximum jail term of 30 years and a fine on conviction. Previously, Ismail was charged with the murder of Salahuddin Ismail, 46, outside a house in Kampung Tebakang, Payong, Marang, at 3:15 p.m. on the 3rd of December 2018. The charge was framed under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder, which carries a mandatory death sentence if convicted. During the judgment, Dato Abdul Wahab said that based on the testimony of witnesses and the evidence presented, the victim was found to have provoked Ismail to lose his temper. However, Ismail did not show any intent to kill the victim. He added that the accused hit the victim only once with an iron rod and a bunch of bananas because he was too angry, that he did not use a sharp weapon despite having one at the time, and that the victim was found alive while he was with the accused. The court also took into account the accused's defense that he was upset that his source of income, for which he had been waiting almost 9 months, had been stolen by the victim. During the trial, the prosecution called 15 witnesses, while the defense presented 2 witnesses. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) has detained a company managing director for allegedly using fake documents to secure a government tender worth 22 million ringgit in July 2018. A source from Kedah MACC said that the 33-year-old man was detained at a restaurant in Kajang, Selangor noon yesterday. The source also mentioned that the suspect had used documents containing false details by ordering and forcing 2 of his staff to produce forged bank statements to bid for cleaning works at a government department in Kedah worth 22 million ringgit. The source added that the company secured the project the same year. The suspect has been remanded for 7 days, and Kedah MACC Director Dato Shaharum Nizam Abdul Manap confirmed the matter. 3 suspects found smuggling rare and protected bird species have been arrested as part of the ongoing Ops Khazanah in 3 separate raids. Central Brigade General Operations Force (PGA) Commander Senior Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Abdul Halim said that a total of 1,978 rare birds were seized as well. He said the bulk of the birds seized were found on the 1st of January when a storehouse in Senggerang, Johor was raided by the authorities. However, no arrests were made then. A second raid was launched on the 24th of August in Setapak, where 90 birds from 8 species were found and 2 men arrested.
Dalam siri sebuan seterusnya pada 24 bulan 8, kita juga telah Brigade Tengah juga dengan kerjasama dengan pihak Peritan, kita telah melaksanakan satu lagi operasi yang melibatkan tangkapan 2 lelaki Melayu, lingkungan umur 27 tahun ke 40 tahun, dan kita telah berjaya merampas beberapa jenis burung yang terlarang, yang masuk senarai, yang diharamkan untuk dipelihara ataupun berburu. Dan jumlah rampasan bernilai lebih kurang RM70,460.
The last raid was conducted on the 28th of September, which also saw an arrest in Setapak with 63 birds rescued. Briefing reporters at the Wildlife and National Parks Department, Perkhidmatan headquarters in the nation's capital today, he said investigations are still ongoing to determine if the suspects arrested from the 2 raids were working together or were linked to a larger syndicate. The value of all seized birds was estimated at 279,960 ringgit. Meanwhile, Perkhidmatan Enforcement Director Dr. Pazil Abdul Patah said that prices for the birds depended on the market overseas, with all of the birds being local birds, which some could go as high as 1,000 ringgit per bird. The case is investigated under Section 68 of the Wildlife Conservation Act 2010. coming up, overwhelming response for yet to be launched X50. Malaysia's economic activity outcome for the third quarter is expected to improve given the government's various stimulus packages to support overall economic growth. The Department of Statistics Malaysia's Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin said the economic recovery has begun with the reactivation of economic activities and was reflected by macroeconomic indicators in July, marking the preliminary indication for the third quarter. Datuk Seri Muhammad Uzair said this scenario was attributed to the increase in the total labour force at 15.82 million persons in July 2020 from 15.76 million the previous month. He also said the unemployment rate also dropped to 4.7% in July compared with 4.8% in the preceding month. In terms of Malaysia's merchandise trade, he noted that July recorded an increase in total trade amounting to 159.9 billion ringgit compared to 144.7 billion ringgit the previous month. In July, total exports increased by 11.7% while imports rose 8.7%. On a year-on-year basis, he said, exports increased by 3.1% while imports declined in July this year. In August, both exports and imports recorded a decline. However, trade balance continuously remained surplus. The much-anticipated Proton X50 has received an overwhelming response from customers since its initial preview in Tanjung Malim, Perak recently. Proton Era Chief Executive Officer Roslan Abdullah said the sports utility vehicle SUV has exceeded the initial booking target of 4,000 units, despite not being officially launched yet.
S50 adalah SUV, so normally kita segmentkan antara 35 hingga ke 45 dalam pertengahan punya komposisi segmen market, dan itu adalah kita main fokus. Tapi bila biasanya pada permulaan range dia akan lebih naik pada orang yang umur lebih 50. Tapi cuma kita tak tahu sama ada pembeli itu yang lebih 50 membeli untuk anak-anak mereka.
He said this when met during the X50 media preview in Sepang today. Roslan said Proton is working hard to fulfill the bookings to ensure a reduced waiting period for its customers. Asked if the economic's woes due to the COVID-19 pandemic would impact sales, he said there has been minimal impact from the response gained to date. In terms of customer and investor confidence, Roslan said since the launch of Proton's first SUV, the X70, in December 2018, the level of trust towards the brand increased significantly. Proton has not stated a price list for the X50, but the official launch of the SUV is expected to be next month. Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf becomes Kuwait's new ruling emir. That and more coming up in our foreign segment. Malaysia has expressed its deepest concern over the deteriorating security situations in the Nagorno-Karabakh region of the Republic of Azerbaijan following the renewed intense military clashes that began on the 27th of September. The Foreign Affairs Ministry, in a statement released today, said Malaysia expressed regret over the loss of lives, including civilians, due to these hostilities. Commenting further on the matter, the statement stated that Malaysia joins the calls by the international community for the Republic of Armenia and the Republic of Azerbaijan to exercise maximum restraint and take concrete steps to de-escalate the tension between the two immediate neighbours. It also said that Malaysia has urged the concerned parties to continue giving primacy to resolving the conflict amicably through dialogue and diplomacy. According to the statement, the country supports all efforts aimed at finding a peaceful settlement of the conflict based on international law, including the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. Kuwait today swore in its new Emir, Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Sabah, and prepared to receive the body of his half-brother, the late ruler Sheikh Sabah, who died in the US at age of 91. The 83-year-old Sheikh Nawaf was visibly emotional as he addressed the National Assembly a day after the death of the Emir, an acclaimed diplomat and mediator who ruled for 14 years. He called for unity against the challenges that face the region and committed himself to Kuwait's democratic approach in the address before lawmakers who sat socially distanced and in masks in line with coronavirus precautions. Kuwait, unlike other Gulf states, has a lively political arena with a fully elected parliament that enjoys wide legislative powers and can vote ministers out of office. The remains of Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmad Al Sabah are expected to arrive in Kuwait City today on a flight from Minnesota, where he had been undergoing treatment in hospital since July. According to the royal court, the funeral will be restricted to the emir's relatives. Sheikh Sabah earned a reputation as a shrewd, unshakable leader who helped steer his country through the 1990 Iraqi invasion, crashes in global oil markets, and upheavals in parliament and on the streets. 5 years after Dieselgate emission cheating revelations rocked the car industry, ex-Audi CEO Rupert Stadler today became the first top executive to stand trial in Germany. Stadler, 57, appeared before the Munich District Court to answer charges of fraud, falsifying certifications and false advertising. With Stadler in the dock, a former Audi and Porsche manager Wolfgang Hartz and 2 Audi engineers all charged with fraud. German car giant Volkswagen, whose subsidiaries include Porsche, Audi, Skoda and Seat, admitted in September 2015 that it had installed software to rig emissions in 11 million diesel vehicles worldwide. That so-called defeat devices made the vehicles appear less polluting in lab tests than they were in real driving conditions when they spewed out toxic gases way beyond the legal limit. Not a single senior executive has been convicted over the scam in Germany, although 2 Volkswagen employees have received jail terms in the United States. The complex trial is expected to last until December 2022. Prosecutors opened the proceedings by reading aloud the indictment, which is more than 90 pages long. If found guilty, the accused face up to 10 years in jail. Coming up in sports, M League clubs' privatisation process exceeds 90%. Over 90% of the teams in the Malaysian League M League have completed the club privatisation process, including the status separation process from football associations FA to football clubs FC, ahead of the deadline tonight at midnight. Football Association of Malaysia FAM Secretary General Stuart Ramalingam today said only several teams were endeavouring to complete documentations to be handed to FAM to obtain a national licence to play in the M League next season. In the meantime, Stuart stressed that FAM would not extend the deadline since the clubs and M League teams had been informed early about the club privatisation process. Teams which fail to complete the club privatisation process will not be allowed to play in club competitions organised by the Asian Football Confederation AFC if they qualified, and would be fielded to play in the 2021 M3 League competition. The FAM Professional Football Special Committee Chairman Muhammad Firdaus Muhammad, prior to this, revealed that only 12 teams had completed the club privatisation process. 6 of the teams were from the Super League, namely Johor Darul Takzim, Petaling Jaya City FC, Melaka, Terengganu FC, Sabah and Perak, while the Premier League teams comprise Sarawak United FC, Negeri Sembilan, Kelantan United FC, Kuching FA and Kuala Lumpur. Armed Forces FC was the sole team from the M3 League which had completed the club privatisation process. In tennis, Novak Djokovic was described as a snake killing its prey by vanquished Roland Garros opponent Mikhail Ymer on Tuesday as the world number one's bid to become the first man in half a century to win all 4 Grand Slam titles twice got off to a convincing start. Djokovic eased to a 6-love, 6-2, 6-3 victory, reaching the second round in Paris for a record equaling 16 time. It was also his 32nd win in 33 matches in 2020, his only loss coming when he was defaulted from the US Open. There was evidence of the old Djokovic feistiness on show Tuesday. During the third set, he appeared to be heckled by a spectator wearing a Roger Federer hat, but the world number one, who shot a prolonged angry glare at his tormentor, shrugged off the incident, which was hard to ignore at a tournament where only 1,000 fans are allowed on site each day due to COVID-19 restrictions. Top seed Djokovic will meet Lithuania's Richardas Berankis for a place in the last 32. Berankis, the world number 66, won his first main draw match at Roland Garros after 6 losses when he saw off Hugo Dellien of Bolivia 6-1, 6-4, 6-4. In football, Manchester City announced the signing of Portuguese international centre-back Ruben Dias on a 6-year deal from Benfica on Tuesday in the hope of solving the defensive problems that have dogged Pep Guardiola's side over the past year. Benfica on Sunday confirmed they had reached an agreement to sell Dias for 68 million euros plus an extra 3.6 million euros in potential bonuses. In a City statement, Dias said it was really exciting to be part of such a talented squad and to play for a world-class manager like Pep Guardiola, who has a proven track record of developing young players. Benfica coach Jorge Jesus said at the weekend that selling Dias was necessary for the club to balance their accounts. Dias becomes City's third signing of the summer after centre-back Nathan Ake from Bournemouth and Spanish winger Ferran Torres. The need for more defensive reinforcement was evident as City were trashed 5-2 at home to Leicester on Sunday, the first time a Guardiola side has ever conceded 5 in his distinguished managerial career. Dias becomes just the latest in a string of expensive defensive signings totaling over 450 million euros since Guardiola was appointed in 2016. Another Premier League club, Leicester City, have agreed to sign French central defender Wesley Fofana from Saint-Etienne, the Liga A club said on Tuesday. Saint-Etienne's statement did not give a transfer fee but said it was the biggest the club had ever received for a player and that it was compelled to accept the exceptional offer due to the financial impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to British media, the fee for Fofana, 19, was around £32 million. Fofana broke into the Saint-Etienne first team from the academy in May 2019 and made 17 Ligue 1 starts for the club, also helping them reach last season's Coupe de France final where they lost 1-0 to Paris Saint-Germain. The French club are managed by former Leicester manager Claude Puel. Fofana would be the second big money defender to leave Saint-Etienne for a Premier League side recently after Arsenal signed William Saliba for £27 million in July 2019. That concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, nearly all of the states in Malaysia have recorded new COVID-19 cases because of individuals who returned from Sabah. Join us at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, I'm Brendan Lepal. Stay tuned to Salaran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.